Okay, so let's journey to the U.S. Virgin Islands. There, you'll find a 70-acre slice of land called Little St. James. Now, for decades, this was the private island of the financier Jeffrey Epstein. And here's the thing. It was really two completely different places at the exact same time, a stunning paradise and a horrifying prison. In this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how that was even possible. And that's really the heart of it all, isn't it? How can a place that looks like paradise on Earth, a place of unbelievable natural beauty, also function as a perfectly designed prison? That's the paradox we're diving into. So, to even begin to understand this island, you first have to look at the powerful illusion that Jeffrey Epstein built. This was the public face of Little St. James, this idea of it being a sanctuary for science. So, the story he sold, the one on the surface, was that the island was this exclusive haven. It was a place where the smartest people on the planet could get away from it all and just talk about the biggest questions in the universe. And of course, it was all funded by their very generous host. I mean, the intellectual firepower he got to show up was absolutely staggering. Just look at this list from 2006. He hosted a conference called Confronting Gravity, and you had Stephen Hawking and 4 Nobel laureates attending. Their presence alone gave the island, and by extension its owner, this almost untouchable shield of prestige. But let's be clear, this was not just about the pure pursuit of knowledge. For Epstein, this was a transaction, plain and simple. By funding these brilliant minds, by hosting them in absolute luxury, he was buying their association. And with that, he was buying a powerful defense against any whispers about his other activities. And he didn't just keep that influence on the island, he spread it around. This number, $6.5 million, that went to just one place, Harvard University, for its program for evolutionary dynamics. It was basically a strategy of institutional capture. He was using his money to embed himself into the absolute pinnacle of academia to gain legitimacy. But all of it, the Nobel winners, the Harvard donations, the deep talks about science, that was just the surface. That was the show. Because beneath it, there was a completely different and truly horrifying reality. The truth is, hidden in plain sight, Little St. James was operating as a sophisticated hub for human trafficking. The very things that made it a paradise, the wealth, the isolation, also provided the perfect cover. And this wasn't random or chaotic, it was a system. It was a machine. Court records have documented this 4-stage process. First, recruitment, where they'd scout young women, often from tough backgrounds, with all sorts of false promises. Then transport, moving them on private jets. Third, isolation. As soon as they arrived, their passports were often taken away. And finally, control, through a horrible mix of psychological abuse and total financial dependency. Chillingly, the island's architecture was actually part of the operation. The main residence was the command center. The guest villas? Well, they were used to keep people separate. Scientists over here, victims over there. The helipad was crucial. It let guests fly in and out, bypassing normal airport security. And even the spots for leisure, like the Japanese bathhouse, were repurposed as sites of abuse. Every single structure had a dark, dual purpose. And at the very center of this whole horrible operation was this euphemism, the massage system. That was the coded language they used. Victims were officially hired as massage therapists, a label that gave this thin, paper-thin veneer of legitimacy to the systematic sexual exploitation they endured. This quote from Juan Alessi, one of Epstein's own house managers, it's just devastating. This isn't just an allegation, it's a first-hand observation from someone inside the compound, and it shows the escalating predatory nature of the crimes that were happening on that island year after year. So after Epstein's death, these two realities, the perfect illusion and the horrible truth, they finally and very publicly collided, and it happened mostly through the slow, painful unsealing of court documents. This timeline really shows you the dam breaking. It started in 2024 with documents from the Virginia Giuffre and Ghislaine Maxwell case. That led to actual legislation, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, which then triggered this massive release, over 3 million pages of records, which took this whole story from the realm of speculation into hard, documented fact. And you know what? That truth had a price tag. The estate initially tried to sell the island for a whopping $125 million. But the stigma, the horrific reputation of the property was so great that it ended up selling for less than half of that, just $60 million. The paradise had become infamous. And that leads us to the island's next chapter. The new owner, a billionaire named Stephen Dekoff, has announced a plan that is, well, both bold and incredibly controversial. He wants to transform the entire site, the crime scene, into a high-end 25-room luxury resort. This plan really forces us all to confront the island's contested legacy. It raises all of these deep ethical questions about memory and money and what justice even looks like in a situation like this. It's created this really complicated financial and ethical knot. You see, the U.S. Virgin Islands government successfully sued the Epstein estate for $105 million. And now, money from the island's sale, plus future tax revenue from its new life as a resort, will actually help fund that settlement for the victims. So in this bizarre twist, the future good of the island is now directly tied to accountability for the bad of its past. And so that's where we are now. We're left with this one big question. Is it even possible to rebrand a place of such profound trauma? Can you just build a luxury hotel on top of the foundations of a crime scene and scrub the history away? Or does the land itself hold a memory that no amount of renovation can ever erase? That is the question Little St. James now poses to the entire world.